Hey everybody, happy Saturday afternoon. So I guess autumn is finally here, right? And it's con season is starting to wind down a little bit, and but we're still going to have some fun interviews and art sale opportunities throughout the fall and winter and into OAX next year and all those fun things. So I appreciate everybody tuning in on a Saturday afternoon. And I saw Stingray and number one Marvel fan and David in there. David's excited. He said, "Hell yeah!" That's a vote of encouragement to get this show started today. So let me bring Mr. John McCrea in. And it's been a while since we've had John on, but you've had a very eventful, it seems like the last 7 months since you're on the show. You've been very active out there going to shows and things, John. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Good to be here. Cheers, much appreciated. And yeah, I guess I finally started going to shows again after my long COVID. I think it's all tailed off, and I'm healthy enough to go to conventions and not be completely destroyed by them afterwards. That was the problem before. I would go to a show, I'd be there for a few hours, I'd be exhausted and have to just go home, and then I would be wiped out for a week, which isn't great when you've got deadlines. So yeah, but I'm feeling a lot better now, and I think ready for the con circuit again. I'm tentatively thinking about doing something in Europe next year, maybe a show or two in Europe. I'm not sure if I can go as far as the States, but who knows? We shall see, and see how winter treats me, and everyone,
Exactly. Yeah, I forgot you had long COVID,
Sure.
but that makes sense. So yeah, that's why it was just so surprising. I was following you for since the last show, and
Sure.
you hit a lot of smaller shows, and you were recently at the Lakes Festival. I think there was some photos that were shown there. So it's gonna be fun to get out and see your old friends, right?
Sure. Yeah. And meet a lot of interesting new folks. I mean, at the Lakes, there was a whole bunch of new people I met, but like Dan Panosian, who had never bumped into before, but obviously admire his work a huge amount. And so it was good to meet him, and the guy who does Black Sad as well, whose name I can never pronounce. He was there, and I met him and had a good chat with him, and he was lovely. So yeah. So it was good. It's good. Yeah, you're just Googling it right now, aren't you?
I am, because I'm drawing a blank at the moment as well. Wanho. Gardi. Yeah, Garnido. Yes.
Garnido. Yeah.
Well,
however you pronounce his name, you pronounce his artwork fantastic, because he is an amazing artist, and he won an award for being awesome or something like that.
Well, he should. I mean, he's created something absolutely amazing that really, I think, resonates with people. I mean, Black Sad is well received here in the States. His artwork is well collected. I mean, it's cool to see that. But any kind of creator-owned property, that when you see them having success, it's always wonderful. Even if you're not like a tremendous fan of the work, knowing that the people who are working on the book are vested in it like that, and love what they're doing, and to see it be successful, there's no greater joy for people who read comics or collect comic cards to see that happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But Black Sad is a masterwork, so that's so fair play. And so it's been great getting back out into the world and meeting people again. So sort of with the sunglasses on, blinking. What is all this? And but it's nice to be back out there again. Yeah.
Well, it's great.
And again, with the shows, I've only been trying to go to really comic orientated shows. I used to do a lot of the bigger MCMs in London and things like that, with all the extra stuff, like actors and video games and all that nonsense. And I can't be bothered with any of that anymore. I just want to go to shows that focus on comics and just do comics, and I find that's my people. That's what I don't want to be battling my way through, a crowd of people who are there to see, I don't know, Doctor Who or whatever. It's just, that's not of interest to me. I'd rather be battling through a crowd of people who are there to see the guy who draws Black Sad.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I can't say I've sworn off the big shows, but they're simply no fun anymore. they just aren't.
Yeah,
I'd rather go to art focused shows or
sure.
just great comics. Unfortunately, in the States, we have Heroes in Baltimore. We have OAX now, and there are a few comics centric shows. But yeah, even the
I've heard
small
Charlotte is very good too.
yeah,
Heroes is Charlotte.
Heroes. Yeah, that
Yes,
is definitely. I mean, we went there this year. There must have been, I might be exaggerating, but it was probably like 225 comic artists there. I mean, it was you couldn't stop at every table, even with a 3-day show. So you really have to strategize when you go to a show that's that large and really focused on creators. Shelton has done a phenomenal job with that show, and there's no actors or entertainers or video games in the corners. It's all comics and art.
All pure comics. Yay. That's what I want to hear. That said, people are all talking about off to NYCC, and I must say I'm quite jealous. Maybe not so much the show, but the place. I love New York, and I haven't been for quite a while, so it's I'm kind of itchy to go get back to the States. And the NYC, the convention, I've always enjoyed it when I've been to it, but it is big. But then I don't really do the floor at all. I go to the comic place, I do that, and then it's usually a bar afterwards, and I never really see the floor. I kind of just sneak in and out through the crowd.
Yeah, I don't blame you. New York is a fun show for that, and they have their artist alley section isn't really even an alley; it's just a massive room unto itself. So that's nice. I mean, you could literally just spend your whole day in there and not really worry about what's going on in the others in the above floors where all the other things are happening.
Yeah. No, I do miss it.
When was the last time you were in New York?
2018, I believe. I think it was when we announced Dead Eyes, the first series, and I think we had a New York exclusive cover for it. Maybe it was 2019. I'm a bit fuzzy, but with everything since then. So yeah, it was that was the last time. So yeah, but it was a good show. I always enjoy it.
I like it. So you mentioned Dead Eyes. Obviously, you got a new series out, right? I believe.
Sure.
Empty Frames.
Dead Eyes, the Empty Frames copy just sitting right beside me. Hi, handy. Yes, and Dead Eyes, Empty Frames. This is issue 2, so it's out now, and please go out and pick it up if you will. It's keep the old Dead Eyes train rolling. That would be lovely. I'm really enjoying it. I'm nearly finished. It's a 5-issue miniseries which I've been working on since about 2019. So yeah, it's been a bit of a labor of love and many other things as well. As Jerry and I is so fond of saying, it's the comic that they couldn't kill, and they really we've really had some major setbacks with the book, not least being long COVID for me as well, but a few other things as well have sort of derailed us slightly, but hopefully we'll get this out and on time. And
I don't think we talked about Dead Eyes too much the first time we talked. I mean, how did that whole project get started? I mean, what was the gestation for that? Was it something the
gestation of it was I knew Jerry's work and wanted to work with him. So I saw he was going to be at a show in Dublin run by the guys who run the Big Bang comics in Dublin, John Hendrick, shout out. And John and Dave, I should say. And I went over for it with the sort of sole purpose of finding Jerry Duggan and sort of arm wrestling him into giving me some work, and we had a few drinks, we chatted. He enjoyed my work too, so he pitched a few things to me, and the one that really grabbed me was Dead Eyes. It really spoke to me, and that was that. So sometimes it's as simple as that. But I mean, I love the whole concept of it. It's just a great wee book, and it has a lot of heart, I think. Yeah, and a lot of fun, and some ultra violence too. So,
Well, he packs a punch. I know that.
yeah. I think Jerry probably tries to get at least one sort of unseen violent act into each issue. You know? In the first series, the one that really stuck in my mind was the bit where a guy is attacking Deadeyes, and he has like one of those little buzz saw things, a circular saw that you get, handheld one, and he
Sure.
just whips it up and chops one of the guy's fingers off, or at least one of them, with it, and then a dog eats it, and then
Wow.
the dog eats the
How
finger.
fitting.
Yes, you know, there you go.
Yeah, my wife's always warned me about using those circular saws. So far, no
Yeah.
accidents, but I never
Yeah,
thought
well,
about using it as a weapon.
no. Well, you know, if it's plugged in, there's possibly a certain amount of distance problems that you would have. Somebody might be able to just step back, and then you're in trouble. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can get battery powered circular saws so you can just run around the streets with
Oh,
them.
they have them.
Well, of course they do.
I don't
Yeah,
own one, but oh yeah, they've got them. But
yeah. A lot in Florida, huh?
oh yeah, not in Florida. Yeah. We need our battery powered devices with all the power outages and things we have going on around here.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I wanted to throw the Big Cartel link into the chat just so people know where they could pick up some merchandise that you have for sale. So I've got that in there.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you very much.
I know you've got a few art books and some original art that we're not showing today for sale as well. And
Sure.
thought might as well give everybody that link. If it's not in the show description, I'll make sure we put it in there after we're all
Thanks,
done
Bill.
here.
Yeah, the art books were done again over lockdown when everybody's work dried up, and I just sort of was going, oh well, what will I do with myself? So decided to do art book, and also the Mighty World of McCrea, which was that book with all my creator own stuff kind of piled into it. But I was meant to do about 4 of them, but then I got long COVID. I mean, it's exhausting doing a book like that anyway on a Kickstarter. I mean, anybody who's done a Kickstarter knows what I'm talking about, how much work a Kickstarter is. And yeah, it was exhausting. And I got to the end of the first book and then got long COVID. And since then, I've just been like, there's just no way I can face going through that whole process again. So even though there were meant to be 3 other ones, because I have got quite a lot of creator-owned stuff just sitting about languishing, even though there were about 3 others, I just can't bring myself to go through the process again 3 times. I think it would kill me, which
well, we can't have that. Need, if you can get some assistance or something, we then encourage you, but not until then.
Yeah. No matter how many assistants you get, there's always going to be it's your decision making at the end of it. And I had like 3 people. I had Ryan Hughes doing the design work on the book. I had Kat Hemmings, who was my sort of social media Kickstarter runner person, which means she ran the Kickstarter, and I'm sure there was somebody else in the background as well helping me. And with all that, it was still an exhausting process. Yeah. And my God, we got about, I think there were 5 of us parceling up books, when we had to package them all up and send them out. We rented a room and I brought in a bunch of people, and we all just sat about and packed the books for a full day, got them all done and sent out. But yeah, even with that, never again. No. I don't think so.
Do you take everybody out to the pub afterwards?
Probably. Those who would go. Those who would go. Yeah. I'm not so much of a pub guy anymore because my whole long COVID experience has left me unable to drink anymore. So yeah, that's which might be a blessing as well as a curse. So yeah, I'm when I'm in the pub, I'm there with my cup of tea, which is a look, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I had my fun. It's tea. I love tea. So Happy days.
That's how I start my mornings. But Mr. Panosian is here. Finally got to hang out with you at the Lakes Festival, like we were just talking at the start of the show.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, good to see you, Dan. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, I think I saw a picture of you with Dan, maybe Sean Phillips. I'm trying to think who else I saw that kind of were coming across my social media streams when you were at Lakes. But it looked like a good.
Yeah, there was the couple of Spanish guys, Jorge Fornes and
That's right.
and your man who does Nightwing. Oh my God, my brain! He's going to hate me for not remembering his name. He's awesome. He's fantastic, and I've forgotten his fucking name. Jesus, sorry. You know,
it'll come to you. But that's great. So I saw you doing a lot of not just for the Lakes, but for a couple of the other shows that you went to mid to late summer. You were doing some drawings in advance of the shows. I imagine those are always well received, right? People want to be able to get a take home piece from you.
Well, yeah, I'm not so great with drawing at shows themselves anymore, really. I mean, I can do it, but it's a bit of a chore. But so I do try to do at least a few pre-show commissions, if time willing, for the people who want them. But it's as with everything. I've got deadlines, so I've only got a certain amount of time I can spend doing pre-show commissions and things. Yeah, but maybe one or two before a show, if I'm lucky.
Well, it was Bruno Redondo, I believe.
Jeez.
That was I see Dan Panosian mentioned Bruno, and then Stingray.
Bruno.
Yes,
Bruno Redondo, yes, and lovely guy. They both were. They were terrific, and so much fun to hang around with. Yeah, and I apologize, Bruno. I am a dumbass. There's no doubt about it.
There's nothing wrong. Hey, it happens to all of us, John. It is what it is.
Sure.
Sometimes
I would like to blame my age or something, but I've been like this for as long as I can remember. Going to shows and people come up with me and going, "Oh, John, remember, we're blood brothers. We cut our wrists and we're drinking all night." And I'm like, "Who the fuck are you?"
I know. I'm kind of I'm at a loss if I don't have if people don't have name badges on sometimes.
Sure.
I always look for that.
We're a typical little glance down. God, I can't even pronounce it. Typiously. Good Lord, it's the little glance down at the name badge when you meet people. Just even though you think you're just double checking to make sure.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I called someone Justin the other day whose name was Chris, and I was sure his name was Justin. But
sure.
It happens, right? I mean, it's just But no, I always do that though. It shows when we did our show in Orlando, I made sure that everybody's name was printed on it, and I was always disappointed when the badge was flipped around. It didn't.
Sure. Yeah, I've often thought about maybe doing that thing that Barry Windsor Smith did, which was have a T-shirt with your name printed on it. He used to have the way he does that very ornate logo of his name. Well, he had that printed on a T-shirt from the 70s. You see the photos of him, hanging out at shows with Coluter and Vess and all that and whatnot. And he's got his T-shirt with his name on it in that. And I thought, that's a good idea. I might get my name printed on just so that people don't have to feel embarrassed by not remembering who the hell I am. Or,
It's not a bad idea. Or get it. A lot of people put it on the back, but you're right. On the front, they'll never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Christ, it's just, hey, to make your life easier, my name is John McCrea, printed on your T-shirt.
Well, I remember when I first wrote your name down for something, I flip-flopped the A and the E at the end.
Yeah.
I will never forget that.
I spelt my own name wrong on the cover of a comic once, so you are absolutely forgiven.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It's it's the little things. When you have a 6-letter last name, you should never get it. No one should ever spell it wrong.
Yeah, Bill Sinkovich is, obviously everybody spells his name wrong. Even Bill spells his name wrong, or pronounces it. Yeah, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but that's the way I believe it's pronounced. But he does that thing where he shows how you pronounce it, doesn't he, with his name? but I think you have to lean on the Kev. Is that right? I don't know. But anyway, I'm digressing furiously here.
Oh, no, that's fine. One thing I didn't tell you before we got started, on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a tab for comments. I bet you're still on private. Hit it on that. Because it's probably set to private.
Right. Good Lord. I was.
No, it's my fault. I forgot to tell you before we got started. So you can see if everybody's, there's lots of people chatting. And,
yeah. Oh, God. Hello, folks.
Exactly.
Kev Itch. Yes, there you go. Thank you, Stingray.
Stingray said that he just wears a shirt with a stingray on it, character, and everybody knows who he is. Yeah, so they don't even need to call him Newell because that's his first name. They can just call him Stingray, and he answers to that too.
Sure. God, I wish my name was Stingray. That'd be awesome. That'd be cool. It's like, so what do you call it? Stingray? Yeah, just have a smoke.
You're making him feel really proud because Stingray is like one of the is the Marvel character, one of the fewest.
I know who he is. I love Stingray. He's just such a great work. He's Perez designed, wasn't he? George Perez designed him, wasn't that right?
Well, we're gonna let Stingray answer that question because I'm not sure who.
I think it was George Perez. It looks like a Perez costume. So, but I may be wrong. But I think the first time I saw him was an issue of Marvel Team Up. No, Marvel 2-in-1, sorry. The Thing and Stingray. Oh, it was Marie Severin. Ah, okay. There you go. All right. Well, good job, Marie. Yeah, awesome. I love the costume. It's just that Marvel 2-in-1 cover was drawn by Perez, and it was one of the first issues of Marvel 2-in-1 I picked up. Yeah, there he goes. He's confirming it. I knew the one because I remember buying it. I remember the day specifically. I cannot remember my own pin code, but I can remember each comic I bought as a kid, which shop I bought them from, etc. It's insane. The stuff your brain retains.
I was gonna say, it's tough to remember names, but you can remember which store, which comic, and when.
Yeah.
How old you were.
Dates, no. I'm a bit shoddy on dates, but the store and the comic and this, the feeling of picking the comic up and going, oh, look at that great cover by George Perez. Wicked. Yeah. Those were my two favorite Marvel comics anyway, Marvel 2-in-1 and Marvel Team Up. I love the Team Up books. Sure. So good. Yeah,
no, I did too. They were always fun. I mean, I picked up both of them myself, and I probably liked the Team Up book a little bit more, but because I wasn't as much a Thing fan, but the stories were still always good because you always wanted to see your characters that wouldn't normally get together, the Thing and Doctor Strange or something.
Sure.
I mean, it's just we didn't you didn't get those crossover. Those were the early crossover events. You look at it like that,
Well, things like Project Pegasus and such like, which was the big crossover thing that ran across those issues of Marvel 2-in-1 were just amazing, and those were your secret wars of the time, weren't they? And that classic Spider-Man one where he goes back to the Salem witch trials with Dr. Doom, the Vision, and the Scarlet Witch, great stuff. Okay, great stuff. Just love that comic. I remember picking that one up from Portrush, which was a seaside holiday town that I went to every summer in Northern Ireland. And there were little shops they would send all the unsold American comics out to the seaside places so that the kids would be there with their disposable cash and they would buy all the comics that hadn't sold from the newsagents, and it was just great times. And I remember picking up that complete run of Marvel Team Ups from just one shop off the spinner rack there. Oh God. Jeez, I'm misting up here, so there's a little tear rolling down my cheek at the thought of it.
Well, I mean, it sounds like good times for you, and I mean, early enough that it's probably some of the stuff that were you really thinking about being a comic illustrator at that time?
Since I picked up my first comic, which I just picked it up and went, this is what I want to do for a living. It's just flicking through. It was an Avengers comic, and I just flicked there. It's the one with Kang on the cover. I think it's number 8 or something like that, but it was the British reprint, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember just picking that up and then saying to my mom and dad, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. And then just shaking their heads and starting to get a little bit worried you know, and that feeling of worriedness that they had just escalated as I approached, adulthood, and they were not fans of the idea of me being a comic artist.
It's, kind of growing up on American comics in that way, your style definitely is a bit grittier and
well, I
edge
think
to it. Is that
yeah, I mean, if you look at the sample stuff I was doing, which obviously you haven't seen any of, but if you were to look at the sample stuff I was doing at the time, my influences were very heavily Barry Windsor Smith and John Byrne and guys like that. I mean, I was a huge fan of both of those guys, and so it's only because my first real work was for the British comics doing Troubled Souls and such like that I sort of deviated away from superheroes. And of course I drew Troubled Souls for a few Troubles more, and then went on to work for 2000 AD and the Judge Dredd magazine, and that took up a huge percentage of my early career. I had a few other little bits here and there, but it was really all that stuff. And so that's where I think the gritty style. I mean, I'd read 2000 AD from issue 1 as well, and loved 2000 AD. So guys like Kevin Neal and Mike McMahon and those sorts of guys were just imprinted in my DNA as well. And so I think it was that I had that grittiness already sort of bubbling away there, and it just requiring the right subject matter, which I guess, working for 2000.
That did it.
Out. Yeah. And I've never really got rid of it. And I find that, drawing really clean cut stuff like Superman is incredibly difficult for me. I find he's the character that I struggle with the most because he is so clean cut and wholesome, and I just struggle with that entirely. I mean, I'm an amazingly clean cut and wholesome chap, but I get off on drawing, Venom and Carnage and the Punisher and stuff like that, and Hitman and Dead Eyes. The grittier and the better it seems. I'm not 100% sure why it's that, but pretty much that, I suppose, reading 2000 AD from issue 1 and all the other British comics pre 2000 AD. There was a comic called Action, which was published by the same publishers, but really violent boys' paper, as they called them in the UK, and it had a character called Hookjaw in it. And actually, this is seeing into something I'm working on or have worked on just recently. It had a character. I was
going to ask you about that. Is that Battle Action book that was in September or late August?
Well, the first issue came out in August, I believe, and then the second issue is September. Third issue, which I've got my story in, is October, obviously. And it's Hookjaw, which is basically a story about a giant shark with a hook in his jaw, just because his teeth aren't bad enough, so give him a big hook to stab things as well. I mean, they might as well mount a couple of sort of Gatling guns to his fins or something. I don't know, but I loved Hookjaw as a kid, and because it was so insanely violent, and every Hookjaw would just eat everybody. You would just encounter everybody and eat them all, and I don't think anybody survived the end and any Hookjaw stories.
I feel like I'm missing out. I don't believe we can get. At least I've never heard.
You'd be able to buy it because it's all been published into a book.
Okay.
I think you can get, if it's not the best of the best of action, there'll be a Hookjaw trade. Rebellion are very, very good at putting out all their back catalog and putting some new and really interesting stuff out that probably hasn't been seen for ages. But Hookjaw was a great strip, and
I'm making a note. I'm gonna read this.
Yeah, well, it's absurdly violent. It's absurdly violent, and I mean, it was a comic that was banned in the UK, not because of Hookjaw, but because of a strip called Kids Rule OK, which Brian K. Vaughan wrote the issue of in Battle Action 1, and it was drawn by Sugar. There I go again with my memory of people's names. Doesn't matter. Anyway, moving quickly along. Yeah, so Kids Rule OK basically had this cover. There was a cover that showed a kid with a chain about to beat this cop, and the British press just exploded in
Can't have that.
uproar, and it was banned. It was banned. And so from the back of that, they invented 2000 AD, and they kind of went, well, because this is like real life stuff it's real life as giant sharks with hooks in their choke and go. As this is set in present day and it's sort of real life stuff. What we'll do is we'll transpose it to the future and make it super violent, but it'll be in the future. So people won't worry so much. So when you have a cop being beaten up by some thug, it'll be a future cop being beaten up by some thug, so it won't really matter. So that was the thinking, and it worked. So 2000 AD was born. But I get to draw. I just drew Hookjaw for Battle Action #3, and that was a big thrill for me to do it.
I saw some questions from the chat. Scott Christie Jones has had a few questions, but was curious about the work from Troubles. Is that all? Do you still have any of that from back in the day?
Does he mean is it available to be published? Is it out at the moment published?
I thought it was as an art originally. Yeah, there was a question.
Oh, right. I guess. Well, the art I've still got a heap of. Yeah, I've still got a pile of Troubled Souls artwork lying about. The trouble with it is that it's huge. I drew 2000 AD and Crisis. Crisis is where Troubled Souls appeared originally, our magazine format, and I did my work twice up back then, and so it's huge. It's absolutely enormous. So posting it is an absolute nightmare. It's just especially these days with postage costs now, which are dreadful. But but I mean, if people are interested, they can just email me, I guess, or through my website, I suppose. But the actual comic itself is not in print. And I believe copies of Troubled Souls, the graphic novel, are quite expensive online on eBay or whatever. It's not in print anymore.
Well, there is a contact form on your Big Cartel site, so if people were interested, it's just I hear you. It's tough to ship. Those twice up pages are big.
Yeah. Well, I had this idea that I couldn't draw smaller at the time. So stupid. That I needed more space to be able to draw. And in fact, actually, the more space you have, the harder it is to fill. I find these days, the smaller you work, I find the easier it is. So the 1.5 up from American comic format is pretty nice size. So it is. You can get a right amount of detail in without feeling like, oh my God, where's this other side of this page? Sort of somewhere over in the distance there. So
right.
You have to stretch across with your pen to draw that bit over there. So I don't like that.
Not for you. Yeah.
Troubled Souls.
I talked to Bill Sienkiewicz a couple of years ago, and he went the large route. He was like, I can be more expressive. I can get more of my gestural, and he was, he already was, but the idea that
well, I see that with Bill's work because he's much more. Well, he's a painter as well, and so it's and so he's more about sort of and his work is exactly that, very expressive. Very, and it looks like he really thrashes the stuff down. You know what I mean? No disrespect. It really does look like he just bashes it down. Has a great time doing it.
So he's probably always needed a big space to work.
He's probably like a Jackson Pollock type space, where the walls are all splattered with crap, and just you can't walk into the room without putting on a protective suit to avoid all the paint flying about, and I mean, I don't know how he does it. I look at his stuff, and it's there's artists where you look at their work and you go, yep, I understand that. I do. I know how they got from A to B to C to D and finished. And with his stuff, I go, what? How does he get that glowing thing that he does in his work? How does he make stuff seem to glow? I don't have a clue how he does that. I think I did watch him painting. He was doing a sort of a talk at some New York art school, and he was drawing this truck against a landscape with a truck and a wall and a tree behind it, I think. And he uses some sort of chemical process for the and I think it's this sort of chemical, sort of when mixed with the paint, sort of has a certain, I don't know how it works. I mean, that's what I sort of gleaned from it, but I still didn't really get it. I was still like, what magic is this? So,
I think a lot of people would like to watch him paint for a few hours. That would
sure.
be, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I can sit and watch people, anybody. I can sit and watch, people do YouTube videos of them inking or what have you. I can just sit there and watch, and especially if they're inking on a nice toothy board with a nib pen and it's all scratchy. Fantastic. I'll just sit and listen to it, go, oh yeah, that sounds good.
Dancing Ocean practically started that thing on YouTube with the Drink and Draw Club. All the artists getting together and doing theme drawings, bringing in a guest. There's really never been anything. I mean, people have tried to emulate that, but it was always fun. Their camaraderie was perfect, and just getting these guys draw all the time was.
Well, it did help that they were all bloody brilliant, didn't it? Really, it's they're a tremendous set of artists. So anyway, I'm not going to blow the trumpets anymore.
Well, the omnibus came out, right? The Hitman omnibus came out. I think when we were talking last, it was due to come out late, early in the summer. So how did that? The reception seemed pretty well. I know you seem to be pretty pleased with it.
Yeah, it's a pretty handsome volume. DC have done a great job packaging it together, and I think the cover looks pretty nice. It's a good looking book, and they went the extra mile with some of the interior stuff. Like I got them to do a bit of. I asked them if they would recolor the first 3 issues, which I always find were too. That sort of early 90s sort of computer coloring, where everything's got a shine to it, or it all looks like it's made out of plastic. Everything looks like it's made out of plastic, and I just sort of wanted that toned down so that, because that's what happened. Of course, by the time the first issue came out, issue 3 was already off the print, and I looked at issue 1 and went, "Oh my God, stop doing this, and this." And then the coloring became much more what I was after. So I actually got to go back and got a colorist in to just John Calise, I think it was, who's a tremendous colorist. And they got John to recolor, not recolor. They used the same color palette, but just take away a lot of that sort of garish, shiny stuff that was everywhere on the artwork, and just kind of made it. It just didn't work for that. I mean, I'm sure fabulous for, like some big superhero slam bam thing, but not really for Hitman and the sort of gritty aspect we were after. But yeah, so DC really went the extra mile, and the book has apparently sold better than expected. I don't know what that means in numbers, but better than expected is like good.
Always good to hear.
I suppose it's good. So it's sold better than expected, and this thing, it's not cheap, So I guess so. Volume 2 will happen. The upshot of it is that volume 2 is happening, and we've got some nice surprises in store for that as well. And I'm just working on the cover for volume 2, and the trouble with the covers is you're trying to figure out who the hell you're going to put in the cover and who you're going to leave off, because there's so many characters in the first 30 issues who appear, and some of them are quite important, and you kind of try to want to get a balance of who's right. But obviously you've got to put Batman on the cover, because if you don't put Batman on the cover, then it doesn't sell as well. But if
I've heard that.
Apparently it's like in the 60s when DC would put monkeys in the cover, and they would sell better. Well, no,
they always
Batman. I mean, Mike Mignola always knew that, didn't he? Stick a monkey on it and it'll sell better, and he was right.
Guaranteed. You're gonna get more eyeballs on it. Just that I've never understood it.
Yeah. Possibly if it's a Nazi monkey, that might help even more. God, I don't understand people.
It'll create more controversy.
Yes. Well, Magnola's all about them Nazi monkeys. So anyway, so Batman was on the cover of this one, and I'm not sure about the cover of the next one, because it has the Hitman Lobo one in volume 2, and I'm thinking I'd need to have Lobo on the cover. But I'm not sure if Lobo really generates the same sort of sales as Batman.
No, but it could help, but Batman definitely has to be there.
Yeah. But I'm not putting him on the cover of the second one because then it would just be the Batman Hitman omnibus. So yeah, it's I'm trying to figure it out. Who has to go on it and who to leave off, because you've got a sort of a balance. You've got to have Tommy front and center and reasonably big with an assortment of the characters around him, and you don't want to overpower him too much. So yeah, it's a real struggle figuring out who to put there. So
the good news is the volume 2 is coming out, though. I know you.
Yes, happy days.
The chat. Yeah, Stingray. He literally had said that like 3 or 4 minutes ago. That I hope they do a volume 2, and now you've given him the words he wanted to hear.
Yeah, well, good, nice one, Stingray. Yep. These are the words I wanted myself to hear too.
I think you mentioned colorists from back in the day. I mean, I think I've seen Spicer's name on some of the recent work that you've done. I mean, you must be pretty.
Oh well, Mike and me go back to Mythic, where when I was doing Mythic with Phil Hester, and we were looking for somebody to color it, and Phil had, I think, 3 colorists that he sort of showed me the work of, and I went, that Mike Spicer fellow seems very good indeed. So I've used Mike practically on everything I've done since then. There's a guy who colors a lot of my stuff for 2000 AD. Though Mike does color some of my 2000 AD stuff as well. There's a guy called Jack Davies, who's a very good young up-and-coming colorist, and he's a great artist and a good writer too. He was one of my students, actually. Jack was, from when I taught my comic art class, and he's just been working away at his coloring and art, and he colored my Hook Jewel story and did a tremendous job on it. Lovely stuff. So and John Calise, who recolored the Hitman stuff, also colored my. There's some pages of it in this auction. The Plastic Man Freedom
Fighters book, right?
He colored that and did a tremendous job on it too. And I think he colored the 6-pack miniseries also. Yeah, so I love John's coloring too. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, happy to be working with any of these guys. So that they can polish my stuff up and make it look good.
Well, what's it like when your past students become your peer? It's
amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. One of my other students is Rachel Stott. She's gone on to be, what's she working on? Fantastic Four at the moment, or was working on the Fantastic Four recently. Rachel's done great guns, and couldn't be happier. It's amazing. It's awesome when you see somebody who was good, and Keith Burns again was another one of my students, and he's a tremendous talent. Give Keith an airplane to paint, and you've got magic right there. Yeah. So it's fantastic seeing people that you've taught sort of. I mean, I can see why Joe Kubert set up a school, because it is just one of the most satisfying things, taking somebody, and I don't fool myself into thinking that I've given, that I've somehow improved their art. But what I've done is sort of point them in the right direction. Just go this way, and go speak to those people, and hey, you people, look at this type of thing. I mean, that's really what you can do, is just sort of encourage, get them to draw a lot, and then point them in the right direction. And it's incredibly satisfying when you see somebody go off and make it. And yeah.
When you were teaching, did you talk a bit about the business side of?
Oh, totally. Oh, absolutely. This is a very major part of any. I mean, it pisses me off no end that art schools and things like that don't really do this. I mean, maybe in the US.
I went to art school. Yeah, I had I got no direction on what career I should take. I became a website designer. I was doing painting and sculpture, but when I got out, I didn't know what to do. I had no clue, and so I was a welder.
Yeah, how would you? I mean, it's ludicrous. There is no sort of there's no business side to it at all, and that's probably the most important thing of it. I mean, you can, if people are in art school, they obviously want to draw. So you let them do that and encourage them. But what they really, really need to know, especially in this day and age, is how the hell to make some money out of this damn thing, and how and sort of liaise with business and get them out there, and that's what I did. We took the artists to comic shows, arranged meetings with editors, and I
It's more like a boot camp, John, that you were really giving them a crash course on.
Oh yeah, we even had guys talking about taxes and
Wow.
and how to because as pretty much any comic artist will tell you, you start earning money and all of a sudden you're going to have to start doing tax. I mean, I think this is a sort of unless you're a multi-millionaire, you have to pay your taxes, isn't that right? Or a billionaire, you have to pay your taxes. So knowing the ins and outs of that is also pretty essential too, because most people want to avoid all that crapola. It's boring and tedious, but it's a vital part of not screwing up your career. So yeah, we tried to cover all bases with the class that ran, and we got in a lot of tremendous sort of artists to help. I had Dave Gibbons come in one day to talk about storytelling, Mark Farmer talking about inking, a guy called Jake who did the Prodigy album cover. He came in and talked about cartooning, and Julia Brusco, who's a really great colorist, came in and gave them all a crash course in computer coloring, none of which I absorbed at all, even though I was listening. It just all went in one ear and out the other for me. But the computer coloring business, and I'd love to know. I'd love to know how to color, and be able to color my own work. But it's just I don't think I'm ever going to have the time and B, the wherewithal to really understand and be able to do that. But yeah, the course was great, I think, and certainly I think a lot of people got a lot out of it. So, but again, it was a victim of lockdown and my long COVID. So.
Exactly. Well, I mean, getting Gibbons in there and Farmer, I mean, both. Sure. Farmer's one of my favorite inkers, so I mean,
he's tremendous.
The students had to be thrilled to have him kind of step in and give them some advice.
Yeah, they were very happy to meet Dave and Mark after having to look at my ugly mug for a couple of weeks and listen to me blather on about whatever. To actually get some people with real experience and ability is that's quite the thrill, I'm sure.
Wow, you're cutting yourself short there, John.
If no, I might as well.
So I saw when you were talking
myself up occasionally.
Well, that's well, at the end of the day, I mean, you've made a career out of it, so you've been doing something right, and you're still people still want to see your work. They're happy. They're thrilled about the omnibus. I saw Troy was throwing out ideas that who else you could add to the cover. He said Tommy Sixpack, Bader on the cover. Somebody said Dog Welder. So they're throwing ideas at you. I don't know how many are sticking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't worry. All these guys have crossed my mind. I mean, Dog Welder appears on the cover of the Volume 1, and so does Sixpack. So I really don't want to repeat people. So it's despite the fact that Sixpack's now a cartoon hero because he's appearing in the Kite Man TV show, which is mental. I've just
never saw that happening.
No. If you had told me that a billboard with one of the characters I created appearing in Hollywood was going to have the character was going to be Mo and Joe Doubles from Hitman, I couldn't have laughed. I wouldn't have laughed harder at you. But yeah, there it is. It's drawn by Mike. Oh, fuck's sake, the man who draws. Oh God, main names. Anyway, yeah, he did a bang up job of the Kite Man poster, and Mick
You're gonna make me Google it.
McGerard? Is that him? Is it Mike? Is it Mick? Fuck. God, I cannot remember. Jesus. Anyway, yes, it was quite, and then to discover that Six Pack actually appears within the show, I thought he was just like a little background character that somebody had slipped in for a laugh, but no, he appears in the show and has speaking parts and things and does stuff. So it's quite. I'm just hoping he's going to be the breakout character of the show, get his own series, and then we're going to have Funko Pops of Six Pack. That's my dream for the perfect future.
Well, I believe it can happen. Is it Mitch Garrett's?
That's it, Mitch Jarrett's. Thank you.
Oh, Jared's, not Garrett's. Jared's.
Yeah. Thank you again, Stingray. You are correct.
We should have had Stingray in here. He could have been filling all the gaps
in my brain. Jesus. Can you be my brain, please?
Thank you, Newell. Well, Newell only asks that if he ever sees you at a show and when he asks you to draw him a stingray, that if you can squeeze him in for a drawing, he would love to get one.
Done.
There you go. I think you're going to have to go across the pond, though, Stingray. But yeah, there you go.
Or I'll make it to an American show. It's I'll keep them all informed if I'm actually going to get to any US shows.
Oh yeah, you got to let me. Feel free to let me know. I'll share it with everybody too. And
awesome. Thank you, Ben.
Brian Hicks says that the Six Pack would be the first Funko that he'd ever buy.
Me too. Oh no, that's not true. I've bought 1 million Funkos for my kids. Jesus.
None for yourself though.
Well, not that I'm aware of. No, none of that. Yeah, but if there was a Six Pack or a Dog Welder Funko, yeah, I'd be right in there.
Well, before we get into the art sale, let's see one other question here. What do we got? Who would you cast as a live action Six Pack? David,
probably if I could get him, Danny DeVito. I mean, all you got to do is look at It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and go, yeah, that guy, yeah, he'd do a good job. He'd do a good job with Six Pack. I don't want to typecast him or anything, but cover him in a bit of spew and an ill-fitting suit and a tiny, always levitating bowler hat, and yeah, there you go. That's Six Pack. Yeah, he'd be perfect. He'd be.
Troy mentioned the same thing, and he added Jason Alexander as well. So yeah,
I don't know who that is.
Guy, the balding guy from Seinfeld, that TV show.
Oh yeah, I've never watched Seinfeld, but I knew the guy.
Similar look.
Yeah, I prefer Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. Yeah, he's got that look. He's got the right look. Yeah. Just with a crap safety pin holding his cape on and just spew all over him. Yeah, perfect.
Well, why don't we start the art sale side of things? There's plenty of stuff to talk about. We have 20 pieces of art that we're going to be offering today. And we've got, I don't know how many people are watching, 55, 60 people have been tuned in for the last half hour. So we appreciate that on a Saturday afternoon or evening, depending on where you are.
I guess so. So. Thank you very much, folks.
Yeah, let me, I've got my little slides that give everybody the scoop on how to claim artwork today too. So let me show that off. So if you see a piece of art that you like, they're basically 20 slides I've created. They're all numbered 1 to 20. So it's real easy. When you see a slide and you like it, just type claim and the lot number in the chat. And first person who gets to do that is the person who gets to claim the artwork. The price will be on there, as well as a couple images, detail image, that sort of thing. And anybody that claims artwork today, we need you to shoot me an email after the show, bill@comicartfans.com. I can tell you right now that I have some of the pieces of art in hand. I don't have all of it. With the hurricane that came through Florida, the mail got delayed a bit. So I think it's due to arrive on Monday, John, just so you know, last time I checked. Okay. So yeah, it would have been cool to be able to hold up the art and show people, but we've got scans of everything. So people will get to see what the art looks like. And I believe the only thing I would ask you, John, is when I'm showing it, I think most of the art is 11 by 17, but maybe
there's a couple of pieces that are smaller.
Yeah. So when those come up, I'll need you to tell me, they're probably 11 by 14 or something, but, or thereabouts. Yeah. Let's see here. So payment, we'd like to be made in 48 hours after the show. So like I say, you email me and I will take care of sending you an invoice. We prefer payment via Zelle or Venmo, or I'll even take a personal check if you're in the States and you want to mail me one of those, just so we can avoid a fee. If you need to use PayPal, we do charge 4% if you're in the US and 5.5% if you're outside of the United States. And then as far as shipping goes, it's $30 for domestic shipping in the US, and all international shipping is $65. We ship everything really well in Masonite and take good care of the art. We want to make sure it arrives to you as well as it does to me when John ships it. So, all right, that's it's always nerve-wracking. I've actually got 2 packages to ship international, and it's always agonizing. You always are checking the tracking on anything that goes out international.
Sure.
Just because it's that delay, unless you're doing overnight FedEx, which nobody can afford. I hate waiting, 10 days for a package to arrive.
Yeah. So, it's just a lot of time, and your mind goes to all the wrong places. But as long as your package doesn't end up in Oz due to the hurricane, we should be okay. That'll be all right. Somebody mentioned something about Bill and doing something with glass sculptures and creating the modern bomb.
Everybody,
what the hell is that? Bill who?
Don't listen to those people in the chat. They're
is this Bill you?
Yeah, they're talking about me. They're trying to make me uncomfortable while I'm talking to you. They're trying to see if I start sweating. And but the thing is, okay, everybody, you should be happy. He noticed, and John knows you're joking now.
I do know you're joking. Okay.
But we've just done. I've done so many shows in the last 5 years. There was a sales show that I did with a couple dealers, and one of the pieces of art was Aquaman under the sea smoking this bong, and it was the dumbest piece of art. It's not dumb. It was well drawn. But there's fish swimming by, there's mermaids at his legs, and nobody would buy it. So I just said, I'm going to buy it. So ever since then, people have made this joke about an aqua bong because of this Aquaman. I should hang it on the wall, because that's what, every time there's some weird, like I got this a Hulk with pearls. It's basically the Hulk dressed as She-Hulk, because he's got like his top is torn, and again, nobody would buy it, and we were doing it on a show, and I'm like, I'm buying it, and everybody's gonna have to look at it for the next the next 4 years, and that's exactly what's happened. So they ride me like that. They want to see if I crack under pressure. Now tell them, there's nothing to, these guys are fun at any rate.
Sure. This is the version of you being heckled from the audience.
You got it. Without they can't throw tomatoes or anything like that at me, so they can just try to make people think, like, especially new people in the chat, that if there's something actually just, I don't know, disrespectful about me. Who knows? I don't know. But it's fun. It's all in good fun, and I don't mind. And I saw somebody ask me about the order of the artwork. Not really. I didn't put it in a specific order. So it's not like low dollar to high dollar. I kept the pieces that were related to one another together. I think I kind of kept the DC pieces together and the Marvel pieces together. But the prices are just going to kind of go around as.
There's no Swamp Thing art in it, by the way. Somebody asked about Swamp Thing art, and
there's a Man Thing. I think the last piece has Man Thing in it.
That is true, and he's close.
Sort of similar.
Kind of. Everybody loves a muck monster.
Exactly. And it's the right time of year, right? It's October. We need more creature art out in the world. Yeah. So, and
I was thinking about that very specifically when I included it in the artwork package. Yeah. So.
All right. Well, let's get this thing started here. I know that we had shown some Carnage work from the last show that we did. So we got a few pieces from that same What If book this time around too. And this was written by Larry Hama, wasn't it?
It was written by Larry Hama, so that was an honor. Larry Hama's kind of like, whoa, one of those guys, and it was. I couldn't believe that I was working with Larry Hama. So, and he wrote a great story. It's really good fun. And when I was reading the script and the Dredd, 1 second, Alexa, stop. Blimmin' Alexa, and when I turned the script page and the Dredd Dormammu showed up, you could have knocked me over with a pin. So I love anything that Steve Ditko designed. That's
Oh,
Steve
sure.
Ditko. He's my favorite comic artist, and yeah, his Doctor Strange stuff is incredible. And getting to draw Dormammu was sort of a high point for me.
Is Larry someone that you got to talk to as part of the process, or did?
Not really. I did email him and say, how awesome it was to work with him, and he sort of said something along the lines of "thanks" or something like that. I think Larry doesn't really email much, or at least not to me. So yeah, he was short but sweet on the email, but the script was a hoot, and it was more in the direction of a Marvel style script, which was interesting too. I'd never really worked that way before, so it was more, it wasn't broken down into frames so much, just as more of a descriptor for each, for each sequence. Yeah, so it was enjoyable to do. And I mean, what a riot to draw. So I had so much of my favorite stuff, like giant gnarly trees, are one of the things I love drawing. So yeah, I had a lot of that going on.
Yeah, David asked if you enjoy doing a Doctor Strange book. I would imagine, so, as a fan of Ditko, that
I would love to do a Doctor Strange book. I really would. I think one of my favorite books of recent, it was that Doctor Strange book by, I'm going to forget his name because that's what I've been doing all the way through the show, so I see no reason to stop now. But it was a 4-issue mini series, and then they published it in a giant Treasury edition version of it. And it's by the same guy who did Silver Surfer Black.
Oh, Treadmore.
Treadmore. Thank you. Jesus Christ. And it blew my tiny mind, that Doctor Strange book. It was incredible. I mean, there were pages in there where I just looked at it and went, how the hell did he even conceive of this page? I don't have
I think we all ask that question when we look at it. But as an artist, you do as well. I don't think I've ever talked to another creator about Trad's work before. So you view it.
It's amazing. Amazing. I just, he's wholly unique and just incredible. I mean, the story was great fun too, but the art was just, some level way beyond what I, get. There's other great artists about, but that stuff was phenomenal. I bought the miniseries and then I bought the Treasury, and and I met him actually years ago. I was doing a signing in Gosh with Sean Phillips, and I think Gosh were doing Gosh Comics in London, and they were doing a series of signings. And so previously, Trad Moore had been signing, earlier that day, Trad Moore had been signing with somebody else, and then they wheeled in me and Sean for later on, and then we all went to the pub after, and it was he was there. So I think I managed to say, like, "Gosh, you're really terrific," or something to him, and then sort of swoon. But that was about the height of our interactions. He probably went, "Don't bother me, kid," or something.
He's an interesting guy, that's for sure. I've gotten to.
No, I mean, I'm sure he couldn't have been sweeter. I was a bit drunk at the time. I was like, fuck.
Not anymore.
No, it's the good thing about not being drunk anymore, is that I remember the conventions. It's like, oh yeah, I had a good time. I remember. Imagine. Anyway, yes.
All right.
Good fun.
Well, we have one other piece from the Carnage book, and that was let's see, lot number 2. So this one's $1,500, but it's page 1, and it's fantastic. I mean, presuming you did everything in order, this is like a fun illustration to kind of kick off the work with Larry, right?
Well, yes. I mean, I've never been one for working in order. One of the reasons why my continuity is so lousy is that I could just jump all over the place when I'm drawing a comic. However, I do believe this probably was the first page I drew in this, and why wouldn't I? And I had a great fun just messing with Carnage and the whole shape of everything. and just twisting it and pushing it. I think I drew it a couple of times before I sort of nailed down how I wanted to draw him, or how and just push things around with him and mess with him proportion wise, because he can do what he wants, can't he? With himself, it's just it's. I mean, there's nothing he can't really do, So just frigging around and drawing everything just in the crazy proportions seems to be the way to go with Carnage. I had a whale of a time drawing it.
Now, you said this was in the Marvel method, so I mean, for a page like this, I mean, what did Larry write as an outline?
Oh geez, something along the lines of Carnage is about to bite somebody's head off, and loads of guys are pointing guns at him. I think something along those lines. I mean, fairly
That's
much.
kind of what I always felt the Marvel method was like, right? I mean, there's no, no major, script is written there. Maybe you might get a line or two, but you get a description like that, and then you need to fill the page. There was no dialogue specifically for this that I could recall, though maybe there were bits of dialogue throughout it, the script, but a lot got changed and a lot added and a lot subtracted as it went along, and which is, I mean, that's the way. I mean, Jerry doesn't work a Marvel method. Jerry Duggan, when we're doing Dead Eyes, he writes full script, but often when the dialogue is, he does a dialogue pass after he receives the artwork, and things get changed quite dramatically. I guess when he sees the art and he can bounce off it, and I'd imagine that happens a fair amount with writers, where where the artist may bring in something that they hadn't thought of, or put an expression that maybe they gives them an idea of some sort of a different sort of dialogue or what have you. And I do like that sort of interplay anyway. So it was fun doing the Marvel method, and I mean, I loved drawing that Carnage story. It was great fun. Well, this is a very striking image. Everybody seems to like that one. But we're going to move on to something a little different here. I guess I didn't keep Marvel and DC all together. I'm switching over to DC here now. This is the Plastic Man that we talked about earlier. Yeah, that from issue 1 of Plastic Man and the Freedom Fighters. And this is page 4 from that. Looks like it has a bit of zipatone.
Oh, oh crap! I've sent you the wrong scan.
Oh, you did? Okay, so it has no zip.
This is digital zip, so the page will not have the dots on it.
Got it.
But it's still a pretty detailed page nonetheless.
Oh yeah,
and probably it's my favorite shot of them, all in silhouette like that, trying to do my best Frank Miller or Dave Mazzucchelli on that bottom panel. But it was a complicated script. This, I think there was so much that had to be packed into this. It was a big crossover thing, convergence, wasn't it? Yeah. And there was just a lot of stuff, a lot of information, and a lot of story that had to be packed into the 2 issues. So I remember thinking that every page was pretty complicated and required quite a lot of planning and thinking. So even if it doesn't particularly look like it at the end of it, that's the way it felt at the time.
Sure.
So yeah.
But had you drawn Plastic Man and the Freedom Fighters previously?
No, never. No. And I used to read Plastic Man. I didn't really read so much. I read the Cal Baker miniseries, which I loved. But I did used to pick up Freedom Fighters. It was one of those sporadically distributed DC comics that we got over in Northern Ireland. I must have maybe picked up about 4 or 5 issues of it, which was kind of weird. And I loved the Human Bomb. He's just such a great look, and he explodes. It's hilarious. Uncle Sam, I always thought was kind of wacky, but the Human Bomb was my guy. So he was. Plus, also, I like the Human Bomb because he wears a full helmet, so I don't have to draw a face, which, it's always a bonus.
Cuts a little corner there. Yeah, I always wondered how that top hat always stayed on Uncle Sam. I mean, there's no
Velcro.
Velcro.
Velcro, I believe. American Velcro.
Yeah, nothing like it.
Yeah, good
Um,
American Velcro.
all right, well, this is page lot 3, and from the same book for lot 4, we have page 7 from issue 1. Nice
Yep.
splash page here. So a little bit of action going on here. Even Uncle Sam is getting in on it there, running by Plastic Man. So
yeah. I think I had to try and get everybody in on the splash page. I don't think I missed anybody. Yeah. Yeah, no. It's good fun. I mean, a really enjoyable book. I think maybe I just didn't push Plastic Man enough in when I was drawing it. You know, when you look back at the old Jack Cole stuff, I mean, he really is. It's mad. Some of it's completely bonkers. And I think maybe I didn't push Plastic Man as much as I could have. The story was quite serious, I suppose, in a way. So maybe that sort of held me back a little bit from going too goofy with Plastic Man, but I sort of wish I had in retrospect. I don't know.
Well, it's hard to say in the moment, but no, this is really nice. And I always forget about Cole and Plastic Man, but yeah, it's
hard to forget about him.
I know. Well, it's
unbelievable cartoonist.
Everybody, I haven't been written a lot in the chat about I'm not a big DC guy. I'm more of a Marvel guy. So I'm surprised that they were talking about, bongs and things and not that, because that would have been the more appropriate thing for people to give me a hard time about. But I have read a bit of Hellblazer, and we've got a couple pages with Constantine, and this is lot 5, priced at $5.75. When was this? I was trying to find the issue.
Good question. Not too long ago, maybe a couple of years back.
Okay. I tried to find the published page, but I couldn't.
It was published in one of DC's sort of anthology books. I think it was a Harley Quinn romance book, possibly. Okay. I think that's right. Harley Quinn romance book, because this story was sort of had a romantic sort of theme at the heart of it, and so I think that's what it was, and it was written by a newcomer writer who's really, really good, whose name, of course, I cannot remember, because that's just me at the moment. But yeah, I love drawing Constantine. And I went for a different look on Constantine. I sort of put him into a sort of more, mod sort of look, with drain pipes and big shoes and the sort of black jacket with a flared collar to a degree. I don't know what I was going for. And with checkerboard sort of lining on the inside of his jacket and everything, because I felt like Constantine just always wears the same clothes, so he must stink pretty badly. So I thought I'd give him a change of wardrobe, and I kind of thought I'd get some pushback from DC, because it is quite different looking, but they didn't worry at all. So I was quite pleased about that. But I always enjoy drawing Constantine, because again, he's a bit of a bad lad, and that seems to be my thing when I'm drawing. I like the shit heels, like Constantine. I mean, look at
it's not because you relate to them, right? I mean, it's just that's right. I mean, it's not in your mindset that you want to draw people who have that kind of background, I guess.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But look at that picture of him, the main shot that you've thrown up there. Yeah. I mean, look at him sitting there trying to convince this guy of something with that expression on his face. I mean, yeah. How convinced is he going to be? Gee. Oh God, yeah. I'm going to wind up dead, is what the guy's thinking.
Right.
Just like all of Constantine's friends. Jesus.
Sean Murphy confirmed not the artist Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy confirmed it was from Harley Quinn romances.
Right. Thank you, Sean. Yeah.
Cheers. Stingray says it was written by Frank Allen.
Frank Allen, God, yes, lovely fella. Yes, absolutely, very talented fella. Yeah, it was a great wee story.
Now here's a second page from that book. Then this is priced at $5.75 as well. It's page 6. Great. That first image is your inking technique is very, it stands out. It's like if you could identify your work just based on how you structure the those cross hatching in the blacks there. It's just,
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, I think again, this was born of necessity. I kind of I was pre this style of inking. I was working very much I was using brush pens, and I was going for a very slick brush finish. If you look at those Plastic Man pages, you can see what I'm talking about.
mhm.
But after getting long COVID, I just couldn't focus. I just couldn't focus well enough to do that sort of slick inking. So I just decided, well, I'll go for this scribbly thing. And there's a guy, the guy Mick McMahon, who I was talking about earlier, for 2000 AD. He did probably Mick's greatest work was this slaying story he did called The Sky Chariots, where he inks things and it has that broken effect in the solid blacks. And I was just thinking, well, if I'm going to steal from somebody, well, there's stealing from Mick McMahon and possibly Kevin Neal as well. Stealing from those two guys is probably the way to go, because they're both geniuses. Obviously, I'm nowhere near, not a patch on either of them. But yeah, it's fun to do, and it's much looser than my other stuff. And so yeah, I just sort of start scribbling and have fun with that. Yeah, and it doesn't seem to strain. People look at it and go, "But all that scribbling, isn't it bad in your hand?" But actually, because I'm not actually, I'm not gripping the pen tight. I'm just sort of just scratching away, and it doesn't seem to hurt my hand particularly, which is nice. I'm sure you hear those stories of people ending up with bad hands. God, what's the word again for that thing where your thumb? Carpal tunnel. Thank you. God, please buy my artwork, and so that I can afford a good care home to go into, because obviously my mind is just gone. Anyway,
well, I remember wasn't there like a 4-month period where George Perez couldn't draw or something? I remember, I can't remember what it was, because he was always just so hyper detailed, and he had gotten to a point where he couldn't even hold
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I was on Twitter the other week, and the people post up like comic covers from a particular month and year, and they posted up 4 DC covers, and 3 of them were drawn by Perez. The covers were drawn by Perez, and 2 of the books in interiors were both Perez. And none of those covers looked like he'd skimped. He had drawn every bloody window in every bloody building, as he always does. And you're looking at it going, oh my God, 2 issues in a month plus 2 covers. And he's doing at least another 2 issues the following month.
Right.
How do you keep that up? I mean, I can just about see it when you look at Burns stuff from that period. John Burns doing 3 books a month.
Right.
And and writing them as well. And you can sort of see it with Burns stuff, that you could, to a degree, you can look at it and go, yeah, he leaves backgrounds out here and there and whatnot. Not with Perez. No,
he didn't skimp on anything. Even the number of people that he would draw on a page, or
sure. Well, wasn't it that classic thing where people would write a story and he would just go, well, this page could do with about 13 extra panels, and draw like 20 panels on the page, as opposed to what the writer was saying, which was about 5. It's just madness, absolute madness. I don't know quite how I did it, but I got to meet him for once, which was lovely. I got to say thank you, and I was at in Canada, Niagara Falls convention, and he was lovely. He was just a sweet guy, and had a huge queue the entire time I was there. Just this enormous queue of people, and apparently he just as nice as pie to everybody. Treated everybody just.
There will never be another George Perez, that's for sure. He was always he was always in a positive frame of mind. He'd get up and take pictures with his fans, and he worked for He did a lot of Hero Initiative charity work. I think at every show he always had, you know what I mean? He was a guy that you just never, like, there just can never be another guy similar to him.
Yeah. Terrific guy. Oh, well.
Well, let's move on to the Hitman now. Hitman's we were talking about that a little bit ago. We have 2 pages from Hitman, and first one is from issue 13, and it's priced at $9.50. It's page 9, and I know that you don't have many of these left, whereas you might have a lot of other things. Hitman is probably the one title that when you took it to shows, those are the ones the fans wanted the most, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of Hitman pages, but I've flogged a whole lot of them too. So, just I don't have a lot left really. So and he's my signature character, I suppose. So yeah, they're not that cheap. I'm not flogging them too cheap.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So yeah, but fond memories. This page was not inked by me. This was inked by. I had a guy who occasionally would come in and ink me when I was just under immense deadline pressure. And looking at it now, I can see that it wasn't me inking this. It's got a slightly more brushy. I don't know. That's not right because I used a brush back then to ink with. So. I don't know. There's a slight difference to the inking style to the way I would ink back, or the way I was inking back then. So yeah, it's not me on this particular page. Obviously, by issue 20 odds, Gary Leach took over with the inking because I was burned out by that point. But yeah, I did ink the first 20 or so. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is lot 7, priced at $9.50. And we also have this one, which is a load of fun from issue 22, page 10. It is priced $17.50, but the first panel is awesome, and then just this nuclear Santa Claus. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's a great page. And you've got the the whole. Where is it? My page is covered up a little bit, but just the story and by itself, just so they took their 9 mils. Well, this is 44 and a hand grenade Tommy was keeping in store. I mean, all that's just it had to have been so fun.
Well, it was. I mean, Garth and I are both Dr. Seuss fans, and so this was a big Dr. Seuss tribute. And if you look in the background of all the pages in this, there's loads of Seuss Easter eggs, I suppose. That's what folks call them these days, where I've just put lots of little bits of drawn buildings like Dr. Seuss buildings, and the more so all throughout it's a Dr. Seuss tribute, and then it's a Christmas issue as well, and at the end it has the classic bit where our villainous Santa quotes Rutger Hauer's famous line from Blade Runner, and then Tommy and Nat just blow his brains out because they're like, shut up, we heard it all before, Rutger did it better, blah 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 blah. But it's just a little done in one story, and just a great little story as well. Just so funny. I read this story. I read it recently when I got the Omni. I read it through, and I was laughing my ass off at this story. It's Garth has a way with rhyme, I think it's a bit of a shame that more people didn't pick up the Demon run we did together, because his rhyming is superb. He puts a whole spin on the rhyming that he's got away with. He's got away with words, that Garth kid.
Yeah,
he'll go far someday. But yeah. So there's a particular favorite. I think my favorite storyline of all and Hitman is Ace of Killers, which is the story that preceded this, but this one straight after it. So I feel that Hitman was really hitting its stride at this point, and just really coming into his own, and we were figuring out where it was all going to go and where it was at, and just the humor of it, just really getting the humor down right at that point. because I think that's, I mean, when it boils down to it, you know, despite the sort of, you know, depressing ending and spoilers, despite the depressing ending, the main thrust of Hitman has always been the humor of it.
Well, it'll probably never make it into like a Christmas special comic, but one that was
I don't know. You know what? Yeah, because DC and Marvel used to do both. Both of them did the treasuries, the Christmas.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, where they reprinted stories, and that would be quite cool if they did a Christmas treasury and stuck the Hitman Christmas story in there. That would be, you know, just at the end or something, because
sure,
as a heartwarming sort of tale of Santa Claus getting his brains blown out. You know, everybody loves that. Yeah, Christmas stuff.
Well, let's see. I know I've got another DC piece here that I had no idea, and I know James McLaughlin, when he emailed us after we'd seen some of your scans, said the same thing. Teen Titans Go. I had no idea that here. You know, here's a DPS from Teen Titans Go from the 2003 series. You know, did you ever imagine drawing something like this early in your career?
Probably. Well, I always had a cartoony sort of edge to my work and leaned quite into it sometimes. So it really wouldn't have surprised me particularly. And me and my kids were big fans of the Teen Titans Go TV show. So I was quite chuffed to get to do this. It was inked by James Hodgkins, and James did a terrific job on it, sort of capturing the sort of slightly, it had a kind of funny, slightly rough line to it, the animation. So James sort of did a good job of sort of capturing that, even though it looks super slick. There is throughout it this sort of roughness to it as well. But yeah, this is a double page spread from that. I mean, I did a lot of stuff like this at that time for DC because I did enjoy it. I did 2 issues of Scooby-Doo for them. And of course, Garth and I did a Simpsons story for the Treehouse of Horror. But what else did I do for DC at the time that was a bit off kilter? Did Teen Titans Go and a couple issues of Scooby-Doo. Oh man, I'm sure there was something else, but I can't quite recall what. But yeah, this was right up my alley. I really enjoyed doing this story. Yeah, it's great fun. And I'd love to do stuff like this again.
There's a lot of artists that have worked on Scooby-Doo titles over the years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was Joe Staton was the main guy. Joe Staton was the main guy, and he did a terrific job on Scooby-Doo. I mean, I love Staton's artwork. You know, his big Green Lantern run was tremendous, and I used to pick that up whenever I could. You know, DC distribution was very sketchy. Marvel distribution in Northern Ireland was much better. So I would get things very sporadically, DC stuff, but I would always pick up Joe Staton stuff. He did, didn't he do the All-Star? Oh God, All-Star, not the All-Star Squadron, but oh God, it was a team-up book that had the Star-Spangled Kid and Power Girl and the Huntress, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. It was Huntress. Yeah.
And yeah, Joe Staton used to draw that, and I love that stuff too. Yeah, so yeah, I was a big Staton fan, and E-Man, of course. Oh, God, who could forget E-Man and the wonderfully named Nova Kane. Oh, dear God, Nicola Cudi, what a card. Anyway, yeah. So big.
Brian Bailey mentions All-Star Comics. So there.
All-Star Comics with, and what was the name of the team? Jesus, I've forgotten. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Brian Bailey is our resident DC expert.
Oh, so yeah, you go. Yeah. I try my best, but I fail miserably most times. So,
so we're going to look at a couple Marvel pieces next. I know we've got a Spider-Man piece here. This is from Spectacular Spider-Man. It was issue 206. It's the UK edition. If I tracked it down properly.
I think you have. I can't remember if that's the right cover or not. But yeah, I did a lot of Spidey jobs for UK Marvel for a while, and they were always good fun because you would get all these crazy team ups that you would never think would happen. I think this one was just him and Daredevil, but which is fairly common team up actually. Now that I've talked myself into a corner there, but yeah, it was good fun drawing Spidey because I haven't drawn Spider-Man that much in my career, so I got the itch a Spider-Man scratch, or scratch a Spider-Man itch. I'm not sure.
Had you drawn Spider-Man before that?
Sure, I did. The first 3 issues of Web of Spider-Man.
Oh,
No,
I didn't know that.
Oh, was it Web of Spider-Man? Crap, I can't remember. Anyway, it was it was written by Garth, 3-issue Garth Spider-Man story, and it was either Web of Spider-Man's Tangled Web. That's what it was. Yeah. It was an ongoing series. Axel Alonso, back when he was the EIC of Marvel, started that series up and brought Garth and me in to do the first 3 issues of it. Yeah, so it had some tremendous writers and artists coming after us. There was Brian Azzarello and oh god, your man from 100 Bullets, Azzarello, and shit, I've forgotten the name of the artist, but Rizzo. He did Rizzo. Yeah, they did a story straight after us, which was tough. And then Duncan Fagredo did a 2-part Rhino story as well.
Oh, yeah. I've seen art from that. Yeah, that's
so good.
Boy, that was a really great series of creators working on that.
Yeah, plus us. Yeah, so yeah, that was great stuff. Yeah. So it was quite an honor to be the first, to actually draw the first issue of a Spider-Man comic. Kind of lucky to be able to say that, actually, I guess. So anyway, yeah. So, but that, as far as American comics go, I think that's the only time. Spider-Man was in a Punisher story that Garth wrote that I drew, but I don't really count that because it wasn't really Spider-Man. Garth took his usual, took the piss out of Spider-Man too much. And I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero. And Steve Ditko's my favorite artist, and Spider-Man was the first character that I really related to as a kid and followed, and Ditko's work on it was tremendous. And so I've got a huge fondness for Spidey, and Garth just didn't treat him right as far as I was concerned. And I understand Garth was writing a Punisher comic, but he took some diabolical liberties with Spidey, which I was not happy about.
Well, sometimes you got to turn a character on its head, I guess. But
sure, he does do that.
Well, we've got a couple X-Men pages to look at next. So this first one is Lot 11, and that's from the 2019 series of Uncanny X-Men, issue 11, and it's the first page from that. I think it was like a couple stories in that book or something, but I know this was the first page from that.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why I was brought in, but considering I get to draw an X-Men comic, I was pretty happy I was brought in. So it was, and drawing Wolverine, fun to do as well. I mean, there's a character that sort of suits me, and I don't know about. I kind of wished I'd got to draw him in his costume, but I guess at this point they were all sort of like either they were all dead or they were in hiding. So costumes weren't a goer, which was a bit of a shame, but. Because you always want to draw the character in his costume. But I mean, Wolvie's sort of shirt and trousers affair is practically his second costume anyway, isn't it? So it kind of counts.
Yeah, every time he went up to Canada or something, he had to go to get back into his skivvies and not his X-Men costume. But yeah, Jason mentions that it's a second story in there, a backup story.
Oh, was it the second story? Like okay, thank you.
I know it's the first page to that one. So this one's 925, and then we have a second page, and this is Wolverine doing what you want him to do, which is
Yeah, getting shot in the eye.
Yeah, well, we know he's going to recover.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's a great thing about Wolverine is you can shoot him in the eye and he just bounces back. It's that's what makes him good fun to draw. Just you can fuck him up all you want to, and it's absolutely fine. Yes, great fun. Great fun. Yeah, it was really enjoyable drawing that story. I particularly liked those first 2 pages, just with Wolverine. Drawing snow is always good fun too, because it allows you to add motion through the positioning of the big blobs of snow coming down. It just gives it that extra sort of thing as well. Yeah, nice and atmospheric as well. Plus, you don't have to draw so many backgrounds. Whoop, whoop. That's a win. Yeah, Perez would still draw all the backgrounds nonetheless, wouldn't he? But
yeah, he regretted it every time he had to draw a snow scene.
Oh, sure. I'm going to draw all the snow and all the buildings. Oh, geez. Good Lord.
Now, had you drawn anything with Wolverine in it before this?
I did one issue of the Wolverine comic as well.
Okay.
And it was one of those stories back when Wolverine, it was, again, I got the story and I read it and I thought, oh, that's a pretty good story. Unfortunately, Wolverine doesn't pop his claws once in the entire story. And it's basically him and a hillbilly sitting in a truck for the entire story, practically, just talking. And so it was a little frustrating to draw because I wanted to draw Wolverine chopping people up with his claws. That's why you sign up for a Wolverine.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that was, I don't know. If I was producing a Wolverine comic, I'd certainly have Wolverine use his claws at least once every issue. That seems like
that's a recipe for a top seller.
I would say so, yeah. But anyway, mine is not the reason why. I'm just a pencil pusher. So it was still, I was still drawing a Wolverine comic, but this one at least there's the claws and so I'm getting to do a bit of fun stuff. Yeah.
We've got a couple illustration pieces, like commission style pieces, up next. So Durham Red.
This is one of the smaller pieces. I think this is A5, which is a UK term. So about half of an American comic art board. About half the size of an American comic art board. This one. So yeah. And Durham Red is a character from 2000 AD. Well, originally she was she springs from. Actually, she's from 2000 AD, but she's part of the Strontium Dog, Johnny Alpha Strontium Dog stories. And Johnny Alpha started out in a comic called Star-Lord, which then got swallowed up by 2000 AD. And Johnny Alpha is one of my favorite 2000 AD characters. He's fantastic. And Durham Red is his vampire sort of buddy. She's not a nice person. She goes around killing people and drinking their blood, which I bet you couldn't tell from this drawing. So yeah.
So have you drawn the character a lot?
No, God, no, I've never drawn her before in my life. No. She was mainly Alpha was mainly drawn by Carlos Esquerra up until for most of his career, and then he got killed at a certain point. Durham Red is still alive and kicking, but I've never managed to get a job drawing her. And it is one of my sort of things that I want to draw every 2000 AD character ever created at some point, at least all the major ones, relatively major ones. So Durham Red is on my sights at some point to draw. I'd love to draw John. Oh, I did get to draw Johnny Alpha just recently, actually. Yeah, on the cover of a 2000 AD. It's not out yet, but I did get to draw him. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, I'd like to draw Durham Red for 2000 at some point if the editor of 2000 AD is listening in.
I was gonna say, do you not get to ask? I mean,
yeah, I'm always asking. Yeah, I know, but Thor can only listen to my blethering so much before he sends me a Regalian hotshot. Don't even ask what that means.
I was almost going to, but I won't now. But Dan in the chat says that they would never forget. I got my first piece of art from John. It was a Judge Dredd with a Batman reflection in the visor. Much love for everything you do.
All right. Was this from the from lockdown when I was doing pictures for lockdown? Because that sounds like
Something
one from that.
Did you do a lot of work during the pandemic where you just were taking commission requests through your website?
Yeah. It was one of the things that got me through the pandemic was doing commission stuff. I'm sure that was the case for a whole ton of artists. Were just, when publishing and printing and distribution and all the shops were all closed, at least you could sort of still send stuff via Royal Mail at any rate, send post stuff, which was good. Yep, it got published in lockdown book. Yeah, thanks, Dan. I really appreciate you picking that up. Much appreciated. Yeah, I did some pretty nice stuff for my sketches over the lockdown period. I think it might have been some of my best work, and I was doing quite a lot of color work within the black and white drawings as well. So so some of them came out very well. Yeah, a lot of Hitman ones I did over.
I would imagine. That has to be your number one requested character to draw when you're at shows.
Probably so. Yeah. Him and Dog Welder. People love Dog Welder. I've got to draw a lot of Beators as well. Yeah. Which I'll never turn down drawing Beator because it's so simple. Just a big tube with lots of ridiculous teeth. You can tell I created that character. Anyway.
Oh man. Well, let's see. We have one more illustration here, and this one looks like you put a lot of work in this one. This
is Johnny Alpha.
I can't wait to see this one in person.
Again, this is what I was talking about with a lot of the grayscale wash and a little bit of color in this one, but some of the other ones that I did had a bit more. But the guy behind Johnny Alpha is the Gronk, who is his sort of hopeless, helpless sidekick. And British comics had a tendency to do that, give mean, bastardly characters sort of cartoon humorous sidekicks. Always fun to do. The Gronk is a hoot to draw. So but the Johnny Alpha, I love this character. Such a brilliant design. I think Carlos Esquerra's best design, and he's designed a lot of great characters over the years. But I just love the look of him. He's so badass looking. Great work by Carlos.
Yeah, that is a big gun that he's got.
Yeah, well, I mean, God. I'm not adverse to drawing with a big gun or two.
Now, do you remember the size on this one? Was it A3 as well?
This one's A3. This one's full size. Not the. Yeah, this is a full comic art board size.
Got it.
This one, yeah.
So we had a question from Antoine wanting to know if you went in. Did you already share the name origin of Dog Welder? And the answer is no.
The name origin of Dog Welder? Well, yes, this is a story told many times. Yeah, basically Steve Dillon went to the pub with a couple of his mates, and they decided to play a game called Invent the Stupidest Superhero, and Steve just went, Dog Welder, and they went, you win. Steve. And then a few years later, when Garth and I were creating Section 8, Garth said to Steve, can we have Dog Welder, please? Can we use that name? Because that there's potential. There's potential there. So, yeah.
Well, TJ mentions that their favorite characters drawn by you were zombie penguins.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, TJ. Yeah, that also was a pretty good, fun storyline. The whole zombie. Yeah, I think I got a zombie penguin or two onto the cover of the Omni. I love drawing those because they bore no similarity really to penguins. They were more just sort of my idea of what a penguin probably looked like. Mm-hmm. I didn't bother to look up penguins or sort of looking at them.
Without reference.
I just sort of went, what's a penguin look like? It's kind of a upside down. It's like a pear with a beak, and I think they've got like a
A
pattern
bowling
on them.
pin and a
Yeah, bowling pin with a beak. Yeah, that's what I went for. You got it. Yeah, so I didn't reference any of the animals in that story at all. Just sort of made them up as my idea of what those animals looked like.
Mhm.
So it was pre-internet. What can I say? God, I'd have had to go to the library or something.
Right. Everybody used to keep clippings and things, right, of all their
Oh,
reference.
I mean, I had books and things, but I had to pull one off the shelf. I mean, fucking the shelf was way over there. Jesus, I couldn't be bothered. It was at my drawing board, but I had to get up and walk to the shelf and pick up and then look for the right book. Ugh, who can be bothered? Just make it up. Just make
Well,
it up.
and it's TJ's favorite, so
There you
you
go.
did something right.
Woohoo! The internet's
Mhm.
it's
It,
all
it it has made things a little bit easier for looking for reference, that's for sure.
yeah, but it's all bullshit, isn't it? Just make it up.
Well, next we have now this wasn't published. This was just a for fun piece, if I'm not mistaken. But you put a lot of work into this one too. Like
I think the thing, but this was, I think I did these drawings on the anniversary of Steve Dillon's passing.
oh man,
And it was for Inktober. And I sort of thought, back when Inktober was like a big thing and everybody seemed to be doing it. And I thought I'll just do a character that Steve created
Mhm.
every day for the month, to sort of celebrate Steve. I think I managed about 20 days of Inktober that particular year. I mean, I've never managed as many since, and I don't bother with it anymore at all because it just who's got the I don't know. Maybe I had the time back then. I don't know, but yeah, it was all to do with Steve, and so I did a whole bunch of his characters, and Cassidy's my favorite character out of Preacher, so I did him. So yeah, and I had fun with that too. I got it colored up as well and turned into a wee print for a while. So
Oh nice.
yeah. So since but I was pretty pleased with how it came out. But I think somebody has said that if you want somebody to draw dirty alleyways, the best person to hire is me. So Charles Vess is famous for his trees, and
Yes.
I'm famous for my dirty alleyways. And there's no double entendre, and that's
I'm guessing
all.
you've seen a few dirty alleys in your time.
In my career, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I ended up pissed and unconscious in a few in my time. Yes, absolutely.
So you found yourself in this position, once or twice.
Well, probably not the Cassidy position, more the dude who's just there. That would be more me.
The
Passed
good
out.
old days.
Right. Yeah, sure. Sure. I remember them fondly.
Yeah. Well, Inktober is still sort of a thing. I think they keep
I know.
people keep renaming it into different stuff for October, but any excuse to kind of throw down some ink and
Sure.
kind of have some monsters to draw or whatnot. I've it's been a thing for a while, but no, this doing the Dylan theme is very nice. I'm curious to have seen some of the other pieces you did.
Yeah, there was a whole my other favorite character that Steve created was Absalom Dak, who was the Dalek killer, and he was a 2008 not 2008 Doctor Who comic published in the UK. Is still going. It's been published, I think it's been going for like 35 years or something like that. It started out as a weekly and now it's a monthly book. And they used to run, Steve created this character along, was it, who wrote it? Was it, no, I can't remember who wrote it, but the Absalom Dak, and he was this guy who the Daleks had killed his wife or something, and so he did the obvious thing, which was pick up a giant sort of chainsaw and go out and kill lots of Daleks with this chainsaw. So, you know, seems like the thing to do. You know,
I did not read that one.
no, it was very niche, wasn't it? I mean, it's a British comic and
Mhm.
it's Doctor Who comic. So unless you were like a Doctor Who fan and reading British comics, it will easily have slipped you by. But again, Steve was very young when he was drawing it. You know, I think he was probably 20 or 21, and it's absolutely fabulous. I mean, he might have been younger, who knows? Because Steve started drawing comics when he was 16 for Hulk Weekly. And I remember picking up Hulk Weekly when I was 13 and buying it and looking inside it and seeing this work by this guy, Steve Dillon, and thinking that he was probably, you know, you imagine that the people who were drawing the comics you read were in their 20s at the very minimum. But this guy was 3 years older than me. And it's just absurd how good he was at that age. You know, just, yeah. When I got to 16, I was still drawing like a demented badger, and Steve was drawing like just like a genius. So it's somebody said something about Absalom Dack there.
Yeah, that was Antoine. He said
Right.
in Captain Britain magazine they got.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, he moved into Captain Britain, didn't he? Because for some reason, or did he start in Captain Britain? That would make no sense that it started in Captain Britain. I'm sure it started in Doctor Who Weekly. But anyway, yeah, Captain Britain was a great magazine with Alan Davis and Alan Moore writing Captain Britain. I mean, writing and drawing Captain Britain. God, good times. Good times. Yeah. Yeah. But Steve, Absalom Dack's probably my other favorite character that Steve created.
See, I'm gonna have to Google that after this.
He's a psychopath with a chainsaw. You know? It's a woohoo. and obviously I drew him too. I drew Absalom Dack for my Inktober thing. You know, I was not going to miss that chance to draw that. So yeah, good times.
Well, we have a couple covers to look at next, and then that Man-Thing drawing that we talked about. Now, this one, Fish Flies, was not familiar with this at all. I did not even get to research it at all, but this is the cover to issue 7, and I know that it was colored by Mike Spicer.
It was.
So tell me a little bit about this one.
Well, Jeff Lemire's an amazing writer, obviously, and artist. Yeah. Actually, he's the only guy He did a book called Underwater Welder, and I bought it for my dad. And my dad said that it was probably the best thing he'd read all year. And my dad's not really a comic guy, but I got to tell Jeff that at a convention a couple of years ago, or was it last year? I can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, I really rate Jeff's art and writing. I think he's tremendous. And so I've done a few covers for him over the years. I did a couple of covers for the Black Hammer series. And then I think I did a cover for another book. Oh, Lord. I can't remember which book. And then Jeff threw me this one to do as well, Fish Flies. He sent me the first issue and I was hooked on it. It's a great comic too. But yeah, anyway, it's got a girl with a giant alien creature coming out of her nostril and wrapped, cocooned in snot. Because why not?
Well, I'm going to have to look this one up too because I'm not familiar with it, but I do love Jeff's work. So,
oh yeah, it's a great book. It's a great book. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Yeah, if you pick it up, it's tremendous. Yeah. No, isn't he writing a couple of books for DC now with their new all in stuff? I think is he writing The Flash?
I'm not sure what he's working on currently.
Yeah. No, he's doing a couple of DC books, or at least one for But I don't know if it's The Flash because Cy Spurrier was doing The Flash just recently, so maybe it's not The Flash. Anyway, I digress. Yeah. This was a fun cover today. just a good laugh.
Well, this next one was done for Dynamite Comics, and this is from Immortal Red Sonja, the cover to issue 3.
Yeah. Dynamite gave me about 5 or 6 covers to do at this time, and they all were based on boys covers. It's very odd. This was based on a boys cover, and I think it was basically the shot of a down shot of Butcher standing in amongst a bunch of dead people, or gore or something like that. And so I had to turn Butcher into Red Sonja. I also did a Vampirella cover, which was based on,
Yeah, we had the Vampirella cover the last show. I remember that one.
Yeah,
that one was really cool. Yeah.
So that was my favorite of it, and I did a couple of Red Sonja covers, a Vampirella cover, and a cover for a comic that Garth wrote, and it was about a woman who killed people with guns, and I can't remember, something Jane or something like that, but not Painkiller Jane. That's a different character. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Anyway, yeah, but it was a very odd sort of thing to have to sort of base them on boys covers specifically, and I'm not 100% sure what the thinking was, other than that I'd worked on the boys, and so maybe there was something to do. There's so many odd covers now. Like you'll get a Spider-Man cover, but it'll have like Thor on it for some reason, and it won't be Thor as you know it. It'll be like Gwen Stacy is Thor, and then she'll be on, but it'll be on a Spider-Man cover, and you'll just be looking at it going, "What? why I don't understand the reasoning behind this." So, and I felt a wee bit the same about these covers. It's like, huh? why base them on boys covers? It's kind of
if Nick Barucci were here, we'd be asking him right now. But I have not seen him in the chat today.
No. He's not buying any of my art. Damn his eyes. He's too busy buying John Buscema pages.
I haven't seen him post a lot to CAF of late, but he had a big run there where he was getting like, some really classic artwork. I don't even remember. I don't have to go back and look at his CAF gallery.
Some incredible stuff. Every time he posted a page, I was just like, what?
Yeah, he was making a lot of us jealous for a while.
Sure. Me included. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Good Lord.
Here's that other piece, that the Legion of Monsters. And I remember when I was trying to see if this was published before I emailed you, which I should have done first, I saw you were like, somebody needs to give you a Legion of Monsters gig.
I would love a Legion of Monsters book, or just any of the Marvel horror stuff. Mm-hmm. I would really love a go at. I mean, it's really right up my alley, all of that stuff. Down to drawing Amphibian there, who's a fairly obscure Marvel monster, but I love them all. But Man-Thing's awesome, and Ghost Rider, goddamn, I would love to do a Ghost Rider book. I'd love to do Man, but I'd love to have a Werewolf by Night, any of them. Good Lord, Morbius. Jeez, please. So, I'd stick them all into one book, and that would be like the best of all. I know that they did a Legion of Monsters book not that long ago, didn't they, Marvel? And it did have art it was the art, as far as I recall, was really nice. I can't remember who the hell it was.
Yeah, but I did see that. I don't remember who the artist was, but the actual book slipped me by entirely. I only found out about it years later, but I don't think I've got around to picking it up yet. If it's one of those things, there's just so much. I've got too many comics. Good Lord, I can't afford to buy any more comics. Not that I can't afford. I can't afford to, because of this lack of space. I think I must have like maybe 50,000 comics sitting up in the attic. Oh my goodness.
I got a lot of comics. I used to run a comic shop, so I ended up with a lot of comics after my comic shop ended. So, I've got a lot of comics. Far too many. Far too many.
One day you'll have to have some people come over and help you go through all that.
I think, you know, I just think I'll just probably die and let my kids sort it out. Do the selfish thing.
Mhm.
just let my kids sort it out. There you go. You sort that out. Good Lord. I don't know. It's yeah. But anyway, Legion of Monsters, that would be it. I think would be right up my alley, and maybe. But you know, would a Legion of Monsters book sell? Would I
I don't know.
Yeah.
We should try to talk to some of the Marvel editors.
I suppose if you get the right person to write it, you know,
Mhm.
somebody who was like a shit hot writer,
Mhm.
that might help.
And your art.
Well, you know, you can't have everything. You know, get a shit hot writer. That'll do it, and then I'll draw. You know, but yeah.
Well, we've only got 2 more pieces to look at, and
All
then
right, okay. There's still a couple.
yeah,
More.
so we can take a look at those. And we did have these in the last one, so we reduced the price just a little bit on them. This was from Rogue Trooper Classics number 6 cover, and it shows the image to the left, the published image, along with this one. And this is definitely in the style of like that Plastic Man kind of inking style that you showed earlier, right? Because I remember the trees were, you know, had that heavy, really rich, thick line, and you've done the same thing here throughout. It's very nice.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of what I was doing for the longest time. That sort of very thick, thin, brushy sort of look. But again, it required a lot of effort and focus, and I just can't do that anymore. But yeah, Rogue Troopers and probably, you know, along with Dredd, my second favorite 2000 character. And in fact, I'm drawing a Rogue Trooper story right at the minute for 2000 AD, which is a real blast. It's my first actual story with Rogue Trooper in it. I did a multi-part or a big crossover thing for 2000 AD like a month ago that had Rogue Trooper in it, but he was part of an ensemble cast, whereas this story is just Rogue, which is good fun. And I was really honored to be given these covers because this is stuff reprinting the old classic. Obviously, it's called Rogue Trooper Classics, but the old Dave Gibbons and Cam Kennedy Rogue Trooper stories. So to get to do the covers that are on front of those really top-notch Rogue Trooper artists' work, was a real honor. Yeah, so it was a blast to do them all. I think it was 6 issue or maybe even 8 issues. So you know, I can't remember off the top of my head, but
I think you just get them to let you draw Durham Red.
Sure. Yeah, and a whole lot of other characters that I really want to draw too. You know, there's a bundle of them. 2080 have had some great characters over the years, and you know, I just I really want to draw them all. They ABC Warriors, which is a big group of robots.
Mm-hmm.
I
have read some ABC Warriors.
I would kill to draw the ABC Warriors. You know, so yeah, but you know, well, I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you're just getting started, John.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm in the the very early stages of my career, so I've got it all ahead of me. Oh boy, yeah.
So here we got one more here. This was that Rogue Trooper 20th anniversary print. It's got Dredd on it. Got lots of characters on this one. And I couldn't find the published print this was from, but really nice.
It was done for a convention.
Okay.
And Rogue Trooper, and it just happened to be that Rogue Trooper was going to be 20 years old, the youngster. And at that show, 2080 decided to make something out of it and got me to do the print. It was sort of, I inked all the figures, and Keith Burns, who worked with me on The Boys and now does his own stuff, did a lot of the tech stuff in the background. So on that one, but yeah, it was good fun. You know, Dredd and Rogue Trooper blasting a lot of Norts. These are the Rogue Trooper villains, and they're just an evil bunch of bastards. Yes, I'm trying to think of a better term, but yeah, they were just evil bastards. So It was good, and it's a nice one to do.
Well, this one, yeah, I've gotten to see it for a little while, but it may be making its way back to you.
Sure. The only page that was small sized out of all of that was the Durham Red stuff. Everything else is sort of
Durham Red, and the Strontium Dog was as well. But what
no,
was
no, the Stromp was full size. No.
Oh, it was. Oh, I'm sorry.
Durham Red was the only small page out of all of those.
Oh, got it.
All the rest are full size.
Okay.
Yeah. No. That Strontium Dog page was full. That's A3.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah. No problem.
Get out of that. Well, because I'm going to move everything to the sites as soon as the show's over. So we're going to put it all up there. We didn't make a sale live, but once it gets over to the site, it goes out to the 10, 15,000 people who are subscribed to get the notifications when we do. So
sure.
So John, as always, this is fun. I mean, I feel like it was interesting, like I said, when I was reading, just catching up on all the things that you had going on in the 7 months. It was interesting because I remember the 7 months prior to our last talk, it seemed like you hadn't gone to a lot of shows, but now things are kind of changing, I mean, especially with the Hitman, anthology that came out. Now you're going to get to do a second one, a cover for that. And I'm sure, do you have other shows planned coming up?
No, not at all. Not this year. I'm done for shows this year. I might, like I said, I'll probably do the usual UK shows that I did this year. Maybe the Lakes again, Thought Bubble possibly, and To Be Continued, which is a show in Bedford. So try and do those 3 shows. And then see if I can maybe get to a show or 2 in Europe, and I'm not sure about the States. Maybe I might talk to Jim McLaughlin about going out with the Hero Initiative and working for Hero at a US show possibly. We'll see how that goes.
That'd be nice. Maybe he can get you to go to Heroes. That would be
that'd
be the show to go to if you could, John.
Sure. I only hear good things about Hero. Yeah. So Heroes, should I say? Yeah. So I would like to give that show a shot, and I'm sure I get to bump into a whole lot of people that haven't seen it. Absolutely donkeys.
Exactly, and a lot of collectors too. So that would be you'd probably be very busy all weekend. So that'd be the show.
That's what you want. Well, and if you go out, if you're working for Hero, of course, it's all going to Hero, which is great.
Yeah.
That's only too happy to do that and support the Hero Initiative. It's a great organization.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
So well, let's see. I'm going to get everything posted to the site this afternoon, and I'll keep you updated on that. I will definitely let you know when that package arrives because I know that the storms that came, that blew through delayed everything. And I would have liked to have had everything.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous when I was saying that, but I mean,
Yeah. Well, the thing was that, I had like 2 packages that were due to be delivered on Wednesday, and they still haven't gotten here yet. And one and FedEx and UPS. So both, the major delivery services outside of USPS haven't gotten themselves on track yet. So, it is what it is. But John, thank you as always. I appreciate
my pleasure, Bill.
And we'll be in touch. And I appreciate everybody taking time out on a Saturday afternoon or evening to hang out with us. I'm putting in the chat one last time the link to John's Big Cartel website. So he's got other art available there. He's got some books you can purchase, sketchbooks as well. And if you have any questions about art that you didn't see tonight, there's a contact form there too. You can email John and just make some inquiries. There might be some things that you're interested in that we didn't show and that he doesn't have on his site that may be available. You never know.
I do have a lot of artwork still sitting about from a lot of books that I've worked on. It's a nearly 40-year career of drawing comics. Good Lord.
Yeah, that's a lot of paper and a lot of ink, John.
Yeah. A few pages. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks again. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Cheers.